Now look at Mossy. Really? Oh, so that's how you're going to play it. You going to do this? Okay, fine. That's all I needed. That's all I needed for him to do that. And it became personal with me.
What's really good, my people? Welcome into No Ketchup Sports Talk via Chicago. Chicago Bears Week 4 recap. Colts 19, Bears 11. Quite an interesting game. Quite a lot to talk about. We got the usuals in here. I got my guy, Big Nick Quick, of course. You already know what it is. And for our week in a row, our guy, Eli Caberon, is in here. The Bears take an L, boys, 19-11. They looked really poor doing it. The Colts are solid on D. We know that. Big Nick the Quick, let me kick it off with you. We're gonna jump right in because we can eat up a half an hour in no time. What were your thoughts on the game? What were your thoughts? You know what? Let me take a step back. What were we expecting? That's what I think we need to get clear before we get into how we felt about the game and how it ended up.
Yeah, I mean, I want to start off by saying, obviously this Colts team, their defense is outstanding, especially against the run. Like, they clearly made up their mind that they were going to take the Bears out the run game early, force the ball into Nick Foles' hands, and we saw what happened from there. I mean, overall, defensively, we didn't give up a ton of points, but I think when you look at the third down numbers, like we were watching the game yesterday, it tells a completely different story. You know, they kept letting the offense extend drives, which is keeping them on the field. It's not like Rivers was killing us, but, I mean, they're staying on the field. They're marching down. We're getting the ball back on offense, not doing anything, going 3 and out. Foles didn't look sharp as far as having any timing with his receivers. So, overall, man, it was not a good game. I don't count that late touchdown. So, to me, the Bears scored 3 points yesterday. It was a 3-point performance when it actually mattered. Tons of 3 and out. Missed opportunities. Obviously, the drop pick by Mack and then the overturned pick were huge. Those would have been huge plays for us, but that doesn't excuse the offense putting up 3 points with the quarterback that you wanted to go with. I get that we were playing against a good defense, but it didn't seem like we had any pivot. We became a one-dimensional team, and that one dimension that we had, we couldn't execute. It was sloppy.
Yeah, I agree with Nick. I mean, I thought the offense would be sharper this week, and it looked like it took a step backwards. Foles, just like you said, was not in rhythm with his receivers. Nobody was getting separation. There were still drops by certain guys. It just didn't have any rhythm and any flow. The run game got taken out, like you said, by that talented Colts defense, and then there would be lots of 3rd and 5s, 3rd and 7s, and Foles couldn't execute. He was doing his thing where he just zones in on one receiver and targets him. And that guy was usually covered pretty well. And so the offense just couldn't get moving. And the defense, it played all right. Like, you give up 19 points, you should win a game. But like you said, there was no real impact plays. The dropped interceptions, there were sloppy penalties. The special teams was sloppy with the blocked punt. And then the penalty on Cordell Patterson on the punt return. So just all in all, just a poorly run game by the whole team from top to bottom, coaching staff, all 3 levels of the team.
And you asked about expectation. I don't think I was expecting anything like crazy. I wasn't expecting the Bears to go up there and put up 45 points like the rest of the NFL did yesterday. But, damn, I wasn't expecting 3. I mean, that's pathetic. You know what I mean? That's awful.
It was
I do not count that late touchdown.
Yeah, it was very 2019. Like, it looked like last year's offense, which is not a compliment.
I was expecting us to do something. We didn't do anything. We didn't do anything the whole game. Like, the whole game, we literally did nothing. I was telling Eli, we were watching the game with Quick. I was at Quick's house watching the game, and our homie Jamie was there, and she looked over at me and was like, "We never have the ball. Like, the Colts always have the ball. Like, every time I look up, why the Colts have the ball?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it's because we're not doing anything on O." And it's very typical that we're looking for the D to do everything. The expectation, like when I say, because, when you're, like it or not, if you have a new quarterback going into a week and you're 3-0, you're going to expect some competency. We didn't do anything for 3 quarters at all. Nick Foles was extremely inaccurate. I think that was the biggest takeaway for me, because if number 10 was making these throws, I am killing him on Twitter, talking to myself, trying to get my girlfriend to listen to what I'm saying. I'm killing him, right? You know what I'm saying? So for him to come out and make a lot of the same mistakes that I was killing Trubisky for was disappointing.
Well, then you add in the fact that he can't use his legs either, like Trubisky, so it really makes you one-dimensional. That's why he threw the ball, 45 times yesterday? So, I mean, yeah, and 100% right. We had that one moment we were watching the game. We literally looked at another part of my house real quick, looked back to the game, and the Bears were back on defense. Yeah, and you and I both looked at each other like, wait, what? When were the 3 plays ran? It was maybe a 1 minute period where the ball was right back in the Colts' hands. It's like you cannot have that. You cannot win that way. Again, I wasn't looking for them to be explosive. I wasn't looking for them to be crazy. I know that's not in the Bears' DNA right now, but I was looking for something. And that's what troubled me because I think we were a 3-0 team with absolutely zero identity. In a game where we needed to have an identity yesterday, we had none. There was nothing the Bears could fall back on.
I think you also saw yesterday, we talked about this last week on the pod, the loss of Tariq Cohen, that spark plug. They couldn't find anything to just give them like you said, a first down to extend the chains and then come up with a long pass or something. It would be 1st and 10, 2nd and 8, 3rd and 5, punt. There was no way to generate chunk yardage. They tried these end arounds with Cordero Patterson, the screens to Mooney, just nothing was working against that Colts defense, and Foles is just not going to bring you out of that hole. It's just a team, like you said, with no identity right now on offense, and that's a problem.
Colts, well, I think you know what it kind of boils down to as well. We played 3 really bad teams the first 3 weeks of the season, and then we bump into a good team, and we get dominated. That's it. If we want to keep it very, very basic, Colts are number 1 through 4 weeks in DVOA. Their defense is incredible. They were flying around to the ball. They were all over the place. You saw that live on Sunday. The bigger part for me is where is we got a new tight end room, whatever you want to fucking call it. A new we got Cole Kmet. That was our first pick in the draft that we used, 2nd rounder. But he was picked as a guy that was going to come in and make an impact. I haven't heard from him. And let me tell you this, and I'll keep it 100 because no one out of Hallis Hall is going to say this, and people on traditional media outlets aren't going to say anything. But when you're a guy like that and you're not playing, something's not right. If you're not injured and you're not getting any run, then something's going on. AKA you're not understanding the playbook, or you're just whack.
You're trash.
And we're seeing it weekly in practice. And I'm like, oh my God, this guy cannot play. There's no other reason he shouldn't be getting – he gets no snaps.
Do either of you want to guess how many – the Bears took 62 offensive snaps yesterday. Do you want to guess how many Cole Kmet was on the field for?
2.
I'll take a guess. 0.
15 apparently. 24% of the snaps. He was targeted once. I don't know what he's doing out there. Like you said, Sean, I didn't notice him at all. 0.
I haven't noticed. Sean's been on this all year. We haven't noticed him in the 4 games that he's been a Chicago Bear. Yeah, which to your point, as a 2nd round draft pick. And it's not like, I get Jimmy Graham as kind of their red zone option, everything like that. But for a team that struggles to move the chains, why wouldn't you have your 2nd round tight end playing? To Sean's point, it has to be something deeper. And he's not on the injury report, right? We haven't heard anything about him being hurt. We haven't heard anything about him having COVID or anything that would keep him. He's playing. So he's just not being utilized at all.
And I think it's a larger point to the skill position players that Ryan Pace has picked the last few years are just not producing. You talk about Anthony Miller still is not consistent. Riley Ridley is never active. He doesn't play at all. They drafted him in the 4th round. Javon Wims was a 7th rounder, but he still is inconsistent. Montgomery is solid, but you're expecting more out of a 2nd round pick. Cole Kmet, MIA. These are when you trade all that assets for Khalil Mack, you invest so heavily in the defense. You need the young players to step up on offense, and almost none of them are doing that.
Yeah, that's a good point. You got to nail those picks when you trade that much draft capital between Khalil Mack and Mitch Trubisky. And I forgot about Riley Ridley, to be completely honest with you. I forgot we even took him. I forgot he was on the team. Yeah.
Darnell Mooney's done more in 4 weeks than Riley Ridley's done in a year and a half.
For sure.
I like Mooney.
And a lot of the time with these guys, we're reaching. Cole Kmet was a reach at where we picked him.
Yeah.
This is the thing. It's we're putting expectations on these guys because of where we're drafting them, and that they're not playing or they're not producing, and then it's and then the guys that are taken after them are making impacts on teams. That's the big thing. But let me ask you guys this. So me and Quick were talking about it, and I think it's interesting. It's an interesting point. And I'll lead with you, Eli. Did Nagy lose his built-in excuse? So he's benched Mitch Trubisky, right? Now we're on Nick Foles, and then we come out and we put up 3 points through 3 quarters and essentially get a garbage touchdown at the end. It's 19-3 essentially the whole game, and it was a 2-possession game the whole game. But we might as well. I felt like we were down 35 points. Asking us to score 2 touchdowns in that game was asking us to score 50 points. So I guess the question is, who does Nagy blame for Sunday? Where does the blame lie? When Nagy comes to the presser like he did yesterday, he didn't really say too much. But where do you think the blame lies, Eli?
I think it lies right on him. I mean, that was his card to turn to, was the benching of Mitchell Trubisky for Nick Foles. And now he's got his guy in at quarterback running his offense. And like you said, they did nothing for 3.5 quarters against a really talented defense. But the Bears in year 3 of the Nagy offense need to be better than this. And so I think it reflects poorly on the coach that he didn't have an offensive game plan ready to go against this Colts team. And now they have a short week, a quick turnaround against the Bucs, who have a talented defense themselves and a veteran quarterback. That the Bears need to do more than 3 points in 3.5 quarters if they're going to have a chance against them. And that's a big game because it's in the NFC standings. Those 7 playoff teams, they're going to be bunched tightly. And so the Bears need to win this game. And Matt Nagy needs to come up with an offensive game plan that bodes well for Nick Foles. If he's going to commit to this quarterback, he needs to have a game plan that fits his skill set. And I didn't think yesterday did that.
Look, Mitch Trubisky was his human shield, right? Anytime it didn't go right, and even stuff that wasn't even Mitch's fault, he could just always point back to the lack of execution on the quarterback's part. Oh, run game wasn't great. Well, that's because, they're stacking the box because of the lack of execution. You guys didn't score. Yeah, we missed some out there. You guys didn't convert. Yeah, there was some sloppy stuff out there. We got to do a better job of this. We got to take better care of the football. And when everybody agrees that your quarterback's shit, like your entire fan base, all the media, everybody agrees that your quarterback's shit, yeah, it's a built-in excuse. So 100%, when he benched Mitch Trubisky, you took away your built-in excuse. You're now saying, this is my hand-picked guy. This is my guy who I've worked with before. And if it doesn't work with him, 100% to Eli's point, you better devise a game plan that makes him look good because you have now lost your built-in excuse. You can no longer point to the quarterback who you didn't select, who it wasn't your choice to start, as the reason that you guys are not successful. So it is really time for Matt Nagy to step up as a play caller, figure out something, scheme this offense into some points. Fake it till you make it. You got to do something. You cannot go out there and lay up 3 points at home. You can't do it. Were they at home yesterday? I'm tweaking. But yeah, at home. 3 points at home. You can't do that. You absolutely cannot do that. So, and you don't have Mitch there anymore to throw all the darts at. And the team doesn't have Mitch to throw all the darts at. And yesterday you saw some of the ugly things with this team. Again, we talk about the defense. Overall, in my opinion, they've played okay this season. They're only giving up about 20 points per game. But you look at yesterday, that third down, what was the numbers? You have that, Sean? It was like 8 for 15 that the Colts were on third down?
When we were watching it live, I'll tell you right now, we were watching it live.
They converted like a third down on a draw play.
Yeah,
you can't have that in the NFL.
Yeah, they were almost at like a 50% clip of converting third downs. And
8 of 19 and 1 of 2 on fourth down. The Bears were 4 of 14.
We only gave up 18 points, and it's not like Phillip Rivers was out there slanging it on us, but they were in complete control of the game. At some point, the Colts looked at that game and said, hey, we don't have to do too much. If I'm Frank Reich, I'm like, hey, we're just going to keep doing what we're doing. Convert on third down. Phillip Rivers, if you want to get into it, Roquan Smith, that's fine. He's a dumbass. And go for it. And we're just going to do our thing. This team cannot score on us. We are not worried about, quote unquote, Big Dick Nick or whatever the fuck the people want to call him nowadays, man.
Literally everybody's scoring points, and I'm watching the game, and I'm like, the fuck is going on, bro? We can't do anything. Literally everybody's scoring 40 points. Like
all over the league, all
over the league. It's bundles and bundles and bundles of points all over the place.
I got something for you.
Yeah.
The Bears are the third lowest scoring offense in total points in the NFC, behind the Giants. How many points think the Bears have scored this year?
110.
Yeah, something like that.
Bears have scored 81 points this year.
And 80 of them are in the fourth.
Yeah, 81 points this year, right? That is third in the NFC. Behind the third worst. Behind only the Giants, who somehow have only scored 46 points this year. And the Redskins, I'm sorry, whatever you want to call them, it's the Washington team, 79. So that's the class of offense that we're with, is the Washington football team and Dwayne Haskins over there.
Also, you talk about a coach that makes adjustments. You know how many points the Bears have scored in the third quarter all season? 0. They have not come out of halftime and scored a third quarter touchdown at all. Yeah. Like, what are we doing for 12 minutes at halftime? Just like eating bananas and like Nature Valley bars? Like, what is going on?
Passing around the orange slices.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a crazy stat. I didn't know that.
Yeah, that is a crazy stat. I have a clip. I got a clip of, I want to talk about the Foles interception because, like I said, it was a 2-possession game the whole way, right? So if we go down, and I'm going to tell you, want to know how in dire straits Matt Nagy feels like or felt like the offense was? We were going for it on 4th down with 12 and a half minutes left in the fourth quarter on I think we were on like our own 30. So that's how much pressure he was feeling to get a spark going. We convert that, and then Foles ends up throwing.
We converted on a penalty.
Yeah. We converted on a penalty. Yeah, that's actually
still counts. It still counts, but yeah.
Yeah, that's actually what I mean. Yeah, we could. It's funny because if that penalty doesn't happen, we're talking about how somehow it's 4th and short, and we're throwing a wheel route to David Montgomery. That's a whole other discussion, but it ends up working out. And then Foles throws this pick. I want to talk about him and Tony Miller's connection.
Foles over the middle, incomplete through the hands of his intended receiver. That's intercepted. Coming back to about the 23-yard line is Julian Blackmon, the rookie out of Utah. And the Colts turn this thing around, going in the other direction in a hurry.
Whose fault is that? Because like I said when we started, if that's Trubisky, I'm hammering him for that ball being uncatchable and 2 out in front for Tony Miller. But I'm also reading a lot of people on Twitter. I'm reading a lot of articles that people are dragging Tony Miller, saying he just kind of whatever. He shows up in big spots sometimes, and he's not a guy that we can depend on. For you, is that Tony Miller's fault or is that Nick Foles' fault? Eli, go ahead.
I would put it on Miller. He gets 2 hands on the ball. I mean, yes, his arms are extended, but if you get 2 hands on the ball, you should catch it if you're an NFL wide receiver. He's in his 3rd year. He still has too many drops, in my opinion. So, yeah, I would put that on 17.
Yeah, I mean, bad ball, but bad throw, catchable ball. Got to make the catch. Like, again, it was not a good throw. I'm not going to say that Foles delivered him a dart and a strike, and he absolutely should have caught that. But to Eli's point, he's an NFL receiver in his 3rd year. There have always been questions about his lack of focus and consistency, and that's the type of play that consistent good receivers make. And compared to the rest of some of his blunders, when you put it next to all that, you really say it's a catch he has to make, right? Like if this is a guy who is constantly doing the right thing and running the right routes, and you don't hear these constant questions about his focus, then okay, yeah, you can have a few like that. But when focus is an issue of yours and you have a play like that, yeah, both hands on it, you got to make that catch, man. This is the league. This is Sunday. It's Sunday, baby. Like this ain't Saturday, this ain't Friday.
Right.
Damn sure ain't Thursday.
It's not Friday Night Lights.
This ain't Friday Night Lights. We're not in Odessa.
You said this is not the MAC.
Yeah, this ain't the MAC.
This
baby.
is Sunday.
This ain't Memphis, dog. Yeah, you need to go ahead and make that catch, especially in that game, man. Again, when you put it up against that game where we didn't have a lot of opportunities, that was an opportunity. So you got 2 turnovers that you don't get, and you got to play like that. It's opportunity, man. You look at a football game, there's only it's cliche, but there's only so many plays, right? Like, and it's big plays, and there's a few plays that swing the game, and the Bears did not make any of them yesterday.
Yeah, I think it's –
and they were there.
I think, like you guys said, I think it's a little bit of both. I think you're asking Tony Miller to do a lot to come up with that ball cleanly. It's a bad throw. I lean more towards – Nick Foles in the quarterback throw than I do Tony Miller and the hands. that would have been an incredible catch. But I will say this. I don't think Tony Miller is – he could be a stud. I was talking about this with we were talking about the NBA Finals the other day, and I was talking about Kyle Kuzma. And I'm like, this dude has everything to be a stud, and he's not. Tony Miller has everything to be a stud, and he's just not. He's just not a stud. He's a solid guy, good wide receiver, but he's just not a stud, and he has that capability. So it's frustrating when you see that. You know what I'm saying?
Between the years.
Yeah.
And that's why you wonder, if you look at his college production, dude had crazy production in college, but he dropped to, when we get him, second or third round. There's a reason guys drop like that, man. And if you can talk to the college coaches, hey, this dude's not focused. And it might not be a lack of working hard or whatever it is. It's that you just have to be extremely focused to be a good NFL player. Like, look at some of these receivers, these Larry Fitzgeralds and these guys. I mean, these dudes are putting their mind to their craft forever.
And yeah, you can chalk that up to Foles and Miller probably haven't worked too closely together, and that's why the timing was off by half a second, and that leads to the interception. But like Nick said, in a game where you need plays, that's a chance to in the Colts zone to make something happen, and it goes right through his hands. That kills the drive, and that really killed the game.
Yeah, it was a game killer for sure. But it was never, and I never felt like we were going to go get 2 touchdowns anyway. So like it gave us an opportunity to try to go down there and at least put a little pressure on them, because they didn't feel any pressure at all the whole game. Phillip Rivers was playing poorly and still didn't feel any pressure at all to do anything. I want to talk about the run game for a little bit.
Other than run around and scream at people.
Yeah, I got that Rivers. I'm going to play that Rivers clip of him talking to Roquan. We'll get to it. So the run game has 28 yards rushing. And I want to reiterate this. Nick Foles misses out on playing all the trash teams that we played the first 3 weeks. His first 2 weeks are against the Colts, who are one of the best defenses in the league, and then he's on a short week at home against the Bucs. I was never expecting him to come blow everybody's doors off, but when you're getting him 28, you're giving him no rushing game. He's going to have to come out and throw 40 times with not a ton of weapons that aren't helping him at all. It's a tall ask, and I'm going to be interested to see how the narrative is talked about him and going forward. I've already heard a couple people talking about Foles. Well, he needs some time. And they've been comparing him to Tannehill. And Tannehill didn't need any time. Tannehill was getting 150 yards on the ground as soon as he walks in the door.
Yeah, what?
So it's really tough to compare those situations.
What do you mean, like time? Like what? Time to not get sacked, or time to develop as a quarterback?
Time to get in the flow of the offense. This is his first start for the Bears.
Listen, man, Nick Foles has played on multiple NFL teams in multiple different situations. You either know how to do it or you don't. I don't buy that. If this was a guy who's played for one,
it's not that black and white though.
Yeah, but it's fine. But it's not. I don't think he needs. I hear it. Yeah, because obviously he was out of rhythm with his receivers and things like that. But I'm not. Listen, man, he's been there the last 3 months. He's been practicing with the team. He apparently knows this offense. Him and Nagy apparently have some rapport. We don't have time for that. We don't have time for time. Figure it out. Score more than 3 points. Talk to me about time if you put up 21 and you lose 28-21. Don't talk to me about time with 3 points.
I mean, and the whole offensive line was the same. The running backs were the same. That the quarterback change should not excuse the poor effort in the running game. And once again, we went back to what we talked about with Nagy the last 2 years, that he just gives up on the running game very quickly when it's not working. They ran the ball, I think, on the first drive. Montgomery got 4 yards, and then that was it. We didn't see him again for a couple more drives. They don't stick to it when he doesn't think it's going to work, and that just puts Foles in a deeper spot because he can't. The defense has no reason to think that they're going to run the ball when the coach has no interest in doing that.
It was a 2-possession game, and we were Nagy. I get it, but it's still there's no reason to
abandon it
when you're down.
This was the story last year.
Right.
Yeah, it was the story last year. Down 10, we're not running the ball anymore.
Right.
Down 14, not running the ball anymore. Shit, sometimes down 7, we're not running the ball anymore. Why don't you run the ball, Matt? Yeah, we're going to try to. Maybe I'll fucking run a goal line option with Tariq Cohen. You know what I mean? You can't give up on it that early. I get it that the Colts run defense is awesome. I think they were top 5 entering that game yesterday. But yeah, you can't just, what do they have, 17 carries?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Not enough. Yeah.
This is crazy.
Biggest possession of or not biggest possession, biggest play of the game was the Mac drop. I know it's early in the game. If he picks that off, we were never even down in the red zone. So for him to pick that off and have us start the drive down there, he maybe even takes that to the house. I thought that was a massive, massive miss. I know you, Big Nick the Quick, wanted you got some things you want to say about Roquan. I'm gonna play the Rivers trash talk. Roquan was talking and he was flying around a little bit yesterday. This is Rivers talking to Roquan. I think it was the fourth quarter.
Nope. Nobody's buying.
They're going to take a timeout. They're going to kick the field goal.
He turned the corner on you.
I love the talking. Isn't it great?
Yeah, he's having the best. Fun pointing and talking.
Yeah, he telling him, hey, my man's turned the corner on you.
Laughed at you, bro. You let 2-8 get you?
Yo, Roquan, you looking slow, my boy. He turned the corner on you. I mean,
this is what Phillip Rivers does. You don't need to play when you're losing the game. There was bigger fish to fry. And Roquan's over here celebrating after plays when they're down. Like, I don't got time for that shit.
You felt like he shouldn't even been talking to him, Nick.
No, I mean, I like the passion and the energy and all that, but I think at some point, like, you look dumb and like it was going on for too long. And you add that to the fact that did he get a sack and he celebrated, or he blew up something in the backfield and celebrated in the fourth quarter when the game was out of reach? Like, I don't like that. I don't like that, man. I don't need all that. I don't need him woofing with Phillip Rivers. Just do your fucking job. Stop somebody on third down and then woof.
Yeah, I'm still waiting to see a flash play from Roquan Smith. Like he's solid, but he's not what I thought he would be when we drafted him in the top 10 a couple years ago. Like he's still not this electrifying linebacker that does everything. He's still figuring out the job. I don't think that trash talking Phillip Rivers, who's the king of trash talk, in the fourth quarter of a game where you have done absolutely nothing, bodes well for Roquan Smith. Like just keep your mouth shut and go to the sideline.
Yeah, and I'm not even like Mr. like, oh, players need to not talk. You know,
yeah,
like, I'm all for the fun, man. Have fun. Yeah. But like in that situation where Phillip Rivers is sitting here like and they're busting your ass on third down and you can't stop anything, just let it ride, man. Like fuck you, Phil. Keep it moving, man. Like you don't need to engage in that, and you definitely and you don't need to be celebrating. What are you celebrating? Celebrate a W.
I'm kind of in between on you guys on Roquan. I think he's been playing pretty well.
For the 8th pick in the draft?
Yeah, I mean, it puts him in a tough spot that he's a linebacker getting picked in the top 10, and he's coming off a Brian Urlacher, Lance Briggs back, I guess, or what?
Can we just call him 54? Can we just call him 54? Let's just call him 54, man. We're good. Let's move on.
We can call him Restore, Mr. Restore. But yeah, I think it's tough because we see what linebacking play, how big of an impact really good linebacking play can have. And I think he's been playing well. You guys don't think he's making enough impact plays. Not enough. It's just
not what I expected, man.
A lot of just boring solo tackles, nothing in the backfield, nothing, no real sacks, no turnovers being created, none of that.
We should be talking about Roquan Smith as one of the best linebackers in the league by this point. And we're not. I mean, he's a good player. He's solid. He's going to start in the NFL for a long time. If he continues like this, it's fine. But he's not like what we saw at Georgia. I mean, at Georgia, he was all over the place. All over the place. By far the best player on the field in most games that they played. So, yeah, I haven't seen that from him, man. I just feel like there's more there. And I don't know if, he obviously had some things going on last year that we still don't really know about, which is fine. If it's a private issue, it's a private issue. But, yeah, I just think he should be better than what he is right now. More impactful, I should say.
Yeah, I mean, he comes and goes, but when you're the 8th pick in the draft, you can't go. You have to be there every single down to make plays for this defense that needs playmakers. I kept thinking about how in the 2000s, this was a game where you would be like, we need a turnover. We need a Devin Hester return. We need something exciting to happen. And now we don't have that. Like the defense was solid yesterday, but like you said, Sean, the dropped interception by Mac would have changed the game, I think. And without that, like the defense just doesn't do anything. They're solid, but they're not changing the game the way that they should for all the money and picks that they've invested in that side of the ball.
And we're not getting to the quarterback like we used to.
Right.
That's a huge issue. Yeah, those big plays on defense are few and far between. So again, that makes Roquan Smith not look as good because who is that guy that's going to make the plays? You were the 8th pick in the draft, man.
A couple years ago,
you're taking it easy on folks today, man. You're really taking it easy on folks today. Oh man, it's not Tony Miller's fault, or it's not Nick Foles' fault, or it's not Matt Nagy's fault. Like who are you looking at this morning? Because you've really been fucking over here like taking it easy on these guys today. This is incredible.
Who am I looking at?
Would you have the Colts yesterday?
Well, no, look. No, I'm looking at Foles because I think a lot. I mean, it's a mixture of Foles and Nagy for me. We talked about abandoning the run game. I think. Listen, in the NFL, you can get away with having. I know it's sexy to have a really big arm and see a guy throw it all over the yard, and it's just coming out of his hand differently, like Mahomes and old Rodgers and those guys. But in the NFL, you can get away with not having a big arm if you're accurate and your timing is there.
Drew Brees.
So, I mean, Nick Foles' accuracy wasn't there, and that's essential in the NFL. You can take away being mobile. You can take away having a big arm, all that stuff. If your timing and accuracy is there and you know where to go with the football, you will eat in the NFL for years and years. So,
and it's easy to game plan that too if you're a coach.
Right. So I think that's the biggest thing for me. I think it's on Nagy. I think it's on Foles because the accuracy is a non-substitute. There's nothing. You have to be accurate in the NFL, and he hasn't been.
That's what they said his strengths were compared to Mitch, was that his deep ball accuracy was so much better. And then yesterday he's overthrowing guys, and it's like, what is the difference here? Like, I'd rather have Mitch's legs versus Nick Foles' inaccuracy if it's going to come down to that.
According to Sean, the difference is time.
No, I was saying that's the narrative though. People are like, "Hey, give him a second," and I kind of agree. Like, what are we gonna do? Write Nick Foles off right now? I mean,
but like
he's in a terrible spot now because it's a 3-day turnaround. We got a 3-day turnaround to go against Tom Brady and those boys. So it's not going to look any better then.
There's no doubt. There's no doubt he needs to play better, and we've been saying this literally our whole life. If the defense gives up 19 points, we should be winning games.
Right.
And literally our whole life, the defense has been giving up 19 points. Our entire life. That's what we've been looking at our entire life. And then when we have a good year, the defense is scoring points.
And if they don't score touchdowns, we blame them. Yeah, we blame them for not making huge plays.
Yeah, it's like we either score 19 points or we score 30 and the defense scored 14 of them. So it kind of is what it is. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens Thursday. It's a short week. Nagy's just got a lot of questions to answer, and I also don't want him to get in front of the mic and continue to chirp like he does. Just fucking show up and put together a game plan where the offense doesn't look inept. Like that's where we're at. What do you guys expect on Thursday? It's a short week. The Bucs have been giving up points. Okay, let me ask you this.
But the Bears haven't been scoring them.
Let me ask you this. The biggest change before we get out of here, the biggest change you want to see going into Thursday, Eli?
I want to see more of a pass rush. I think Nick hit on this earlier, but this is the second week in a row you'll be facing a quarterback over the age of 40 with a young offensive line. Like, this is the time that the linebackers have to eat. Like Mack, Quinn, Hicks, Mingo, like Roquan, these guys need to be in the backfield causing trouble, because if you give Brady time to throw to Evans, and if Chris Godwin's back and Gronk, those guys, he's going to destroy us. Like,
don't even talk like that with Godwin comes back.
Right, like I'm beyond expecting the offense to do their part, so I need the defense to step up and cause trouble and make this a low-scoring game that gives the Bears a chance in the fourth quarter.
Really quick, before you go quick, I'll say this to piggyback that. There was a time where 3rd and 7
it was a done deal.
It was a done deal. Forget about it. You're not getting 3rd and 7 on the Bears, especially if you think you're going to do a 7-step drop. It's quiet for that. We're going to be in your face. That's not going to happen. And I will say the back half of last year and this year, people aren't worried if they're in 3rd and long against us. Nick, your big change.
2, offensive rhythm, balance, production, and to Eli's point, Chuck needs to let the boys go. Chuck Pagano needs to let the boys go, let them go wild, send everybody, put some pressure, go watch some tapes of the Fangio defense in 2018 and try to replicate that, because this defense is a lot more timid, and I do not like that. Bears got to go for broke on D because the offense ain't going to give it to you.
If it means putting Jalen Johnson on an island, that's what's going to happen because you have to bring some pressure.
Yeah.
Wait, talk to me. You think they're playing timid, Nick, on D?
I don't think they're as aggressive as they were a couple of years ago. I just think overall that aggression that they played with, and I don't know if that's from a play calling perspective or a personnel perspective, but they played with an aggression a couple of years ago that they just don't have. Maybe Max getting older and teams have figured out how to block him. I don't know. Maybe Akeem Hicks isn't 100% back, but I think he's had a good year so far. I don't know what it is. Maybe you're missing Eddie Goldman, and not having that nose tackle is really affecting them and their ability to get loose. But like I was talking to my dad yesterday about it, they just don't seem as aggressive as they were in 2018. That defense was feared. They were coming at you. They were hitting you, and you were making bad decisions. Just like when we were a Super Bowl team. Same exact thing. Force the quarterback into making bad decisions. Capitalize on it. If the ball's up there, Eddie Jackson's going to grab it, and most likely he's going to score. But you got to get the ball up there. You got to force that pressure. I think they've been playing a little bit more conservative. To Eli's point, if you got to throw Jalen Johnson on the island, you got Kyle Fuller, who's one of the best cornerbacks in the league. You got good safety play. Trust those guys to do their job, but you got to go for broke on D. You cannot rely on the offense to put up these points and put up the big plays. Big plays got to come from the defense.
I'll say this. It's very clear that there's a change in the defense from Fangio to Pagano. I don't think there's – if you're watching the games like we are, the D looks different under Pagano than it did Fangio. There's no doubt about that. And it's, for the most part, the same personnel. So we'll see. Thursday night, short week. Yo, Twitch is letting you so Twitch and NFL Network, or the NFL, have a partnership, and they have a Twitch. I'm going to try to set up the live stream, and we can try to comment as the game is going on, but I'll talk to you guys about that. We can get that going. That'd be sick. So Bears Thursday, short week. It also doesn't help when you're not performing on national television.
Bears are always been awful on national television.
Listen, when you get the late afternoon slot and they flex you into the late afternoon slot and you show up like that, coming off the back of everyone scoring 40, and then you're on a short week on Thursday night, and probably everyone's not a lot of people might have watched the Jets last Thursday. Everyone's gonna watch Thursday night because Tom is playing and it's Thursday, and people want to watch good Thursday night football. We just haven't produced it. The NFL hasn't. So everybody will be watching, and it'll be interesting to see how the Bears show up. Man, Big Nick the Quick, always. Thank you for hopping on. Eli Caberon, you're the man. Talk soon. That's it for the Week 4 Chicago Bears recap. No catch-up sports talk via Chicago. Lock in with us.